our countdown of the top 10 worst tornadoes. We started with the El Reno twister, then on to Super Tuesday 2008. The 1999 Moore Monster was next, followed by Worcester and Gainesville. The Palm Sunday outbreak number 5. Joplin is number 4. And number 3 is the devastating 2011 Super Outbreak. That late April 2011 outbreak is being compared to our next entry, the 1974 Super Outbreak that killed 315 people and injured 5,000. And that's why number 2 on our countdown.
Nobody ever dreamed what was coming.
At the time, the Super Outbreak of 1974 was the worst tornado outbreak in U.S. history.
We actually saw the tornado as it was going through. We saw a black cloud, and it was swirling with debris, and of course you could see the electrical lines snapping and so on. This one was just a mammoth, and it was more like a trunk tree that actually came out of the sky.
In 24 hours, 147 twisters touched down in 13 states, cutting a combined path of more than 2,500 miles.
Prior to 2011, the 1974 Super Outbreak was the benchmark by which we judged all other tornado outbreaks. It held most of the records for destruction by tornadoes. Now it still has several of those. It has the most killer tornadoes for any tornado outbreak, and the most that were rated F4 or F5, nowadays EF4 or EF5.
6 F5 twisters, with wind speeds up to 300 miles per hour, hit cities from Alabama to Ohio. Among the worst hit during the outbreak, the city of Xenia, Ohio. The F5 tornado cut a path 31 miles long, demolishing about half the buildings in the city of 27,000. 300 homes were destroyed. 9 churches were damaged. And 7 of the 12 schools in the city were totaled. 32 people were killed, and more than 1,300 treated for injuries.
And when we went to town, everything was blown away. I mean, for about a block or two, just wiped away. My house, my mother's house was blown away.
The final numbers of the great tornado outbreak of 1974 were staggering. Over 300 dead, 5,500 injured, and over $1 billion in damage.
It just makes you realize how fleeting life is. Because when you're 30 and 40 years old, you don't think about dying.
The lasting legacy of the Super Outbreak was the research that came afterwards.
The 1974 Super Outbreak was not only studied by meteorologists, but also by teams of engineers, and that really began the process of evaluating whether or not we were assessing tornado wind speeds properly, ultimately leading to what is now the enhanced Fujita scale, that engineers basically say that most homes, it doesn't take 200-mile-per-hour winds or higher to destroy them. Prior to that, the original Fujita scale said that it might be over 300 miles per hour to do that.
But what's considered the worst tornado of all time? Well, this one roared across 3 states, killed 695 people, and injured 2,000. That makes it number 1 on our list. It's the 1925 Tri-State Tornado. It was the age of prohibition and silent films. Art Deco was just coming into vogue. But on March 18th, 1925, it was a tornado that grabbed all the headlines in America.
The Tri-State Tornado is one of the seminal weather events in U.S. history. It goes along probably with the Galveston hurricane and the blizzard of 1888 as the most important weather events in U.S. history.
It killed almost 700 people, making it the deadliest twister in U.S. history. And it still holds the record for the longest continuous track on the ground.
They think now that what initially had thought of been a 219-mile continuous path may have really had a couple of gaps in that, produced by one after another, a series or family of tornadoes.
It was basically on the ground for 3.5 hours as it barreled across southeast Missouri, southern Illinois, and southwest Indiana at an average speed of 62 miles an hour. There was no organized warning system in existence, and few people had any inclination of what was to come.
It was a low cloud base. It was a wide tornado, so it just looked like maybe clouds on the ground or a bad storm, and a lot of people stood out in front of it, didn't take what little shelter they could have taken because they didn't recognize it.
Over 15,000 homes and 9 schools were destroyed. 69 students and 30 farm owners were killed. Winds were estimated at over 260 miles per hour.
A lot of people have died in rural areas, but very few farm owners have been killed. They are extremely weather-wise people. They had no idea what they were facing. Why this thing was so shrouded in debris and a rolling fog, and so shrouded in clouds so as to make it invisible and unrecognizable to farmers, we don't know. But I think it was because it was a unique event, perhaps something that doesn't occur perhaps once in 1,000 years.
The tri-state tornado, March of 1925, is our undisputed #1 tornado, king of tornadoes.
That's it for our countdown of the top 10 worst tornadoes. You know, with all of today's advances in technology and increased lead times, more and more lives are being saved. But it's amazing that we still can't fully escape Mother Nature's fury. I'm meteorologist Jim Cantori. Thanks for watching.